Hello everyone and welcome back to it. Now, before we get into the main part of this video, I'm going to be bringing up a really interesting argument from a non-theist. So I saw a YouTube comment on a video. I don't remember what the video was titled. Basically, it said, well, Jesus didn't exist back then because the letter J didn't exist 2,000 years ago.
Okay, well, I do agree that this is a bad argument. I do believe that a Jesus could have existed back then, although his name would have been Yeshua because the J sound didn't exist at that particular point in time in that language. So it would have been Yeshua. But still, Yeshua, Joshua, Jesus, I mean, you're literally comparing apples to apples here and pulling ass hairs off of a fly. So I would say that that's a pretty bad argument to make if you're wanting to say that Jesus didn't exist in the first century. There are far better arguments that you can make that are just as simple as that. How about the fact that there's no independent eyewitness sources that actually place Jesus on Earth? It's quick, to the point, and it covers a lot of stuff that you can then jump into to get a bit further into the topic. If you're just going to pull out one random wild card for why Jesus didn't exist, I would pick that one. But also, I wouldn't have that particular discussion either on a YouTube comment section or just with a general Christian that already believes that Jesus is a divine son of God. This is a very niche topic to get into, and unless your interlocutor is seeking that kind of conversation, all you're going to do is prevent them from listening to your arguments. So don't use the whole Jesus didn't exist thing when you're breaking the ice with a Christian or just in general throwing it out there as a wild card. I wouldn't do that. Save that kind of talk for the very niche conversations where Christians are looking for that kind of conversation. But let's see what Tyler's take is on this particular argument.
Only issue with that is, original Bible wasn't written in English. In fact, the English language wasn't even a thing back during Christ's time alive on this planet. So that's an argument that doesn't work.
Now, here's where I'm going to agree with Tyler. It is definitely a bad argument because the Bible, nor any of the supposed eyewitness accounts of Jesus or even Paul's letters were written in English. So bringing up some etymological argument from English is not going to convince anybody, for one, and it's just wrong. And he is also correct that English was not a language in the first century. English actually didn't become a language until the 5th century. So good on him for bringing some good information to this conversation.
And even then, there's a lot of historical evidence for Christ's existence.
But is there? I don't think that there is. I mean, if you seriously consider the evidence that we have, the only independent account of Jesus that we have is Paul. And Paul doesn't record anything about Jesus' time on earth. Now, I know that there are some ambiguous statements in Paul that people could use to suggest that he was definitely talking about a historical person named Jesus. But there are very good reasons to doubt those particular passages. For one thing, them being ambiguous at all is an argument against the position that they prove that he existed in history. They shouldn't be ambiguous if Paul really knew that Jesus walked this earth. But considering that Paul thought that any information that he could have gotten from human origin would not be accepted by his community, and he had to resort to only getting his information from scripture and through visions of Jesus, it seems to me like he wouldn't reference anything about Jesus' time on earth, even if he had walked on this earth. Considering that this is the only independent account of Jesus that we have, I highly doubt that Jesus actually existed in history. But more to the point, we don't have any good evidence that he actually did walk this earth. So there's no reason to believe that he did.
So, I mean, if you want to believe that this letter argument works to disprove Christ, I guess you can do that. It's just not very logical.
Though you shouldn't use that argument to say that Jesus didn't exist in history. That is a really bad argument. So, yeah, don't use that argument.